Hello everyone, this is Yasmin Fatma from the Department of English, Government College Dawn. Today we are going to know about one more literary term, that is metaphor. A metaphor is implied simile, a word which in normal usage denotes one kind of thing, quality or action is applied to another in a metaphor. A metaphor is a statement of identity instead of comparison. For example, if Burns had said, "Oh, my love is a red rose," instead of, "Oh, my love's like a red rose," he would have used a metaphor instead of a simile. I hope you remember this line. When we were doing simile, I gave this example for a simile. So this line of Burns is an example from Burns and he uses a simile. But if he would not have used the word like, it would have become a metaphor instead of a simile. Now there are two elements in a metaphor, a tenor and a vehicle. Tenor is the subject to which the metaphoric word is applied. For example, my love in the altered line from Burns is a tenor. Vehicle is the metaphoric word itself. In other words, vehicle is the word with which the subject is identified. For example, rose in Burns' line is a vehicle. In an implicit metaphor, the tenor is not stated but is implied by the verbal context. Thus, if one says that Reed was too frail to survive the storm of its sorrows, the context indicates that Reed is the vehicle for an unstated tenor, that is, a human being. Now, sometimes two or more diverse metaphoric vehicles are mixed together to identify the same tenor. Hamlet, this is a very famous drama by Shakespeare. So Hamlet's expression of his troubled mind in his soliloquy is an example of a mixed metaphor. To take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing and them. These are the lines from Hamlet. I repeat, to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing and them. And this continues. Some metaphors have become so common that there seems to be no difference between the tenor and the vehicle. For example, the leg of a table or the heart of the matter. Such metaphors are called dead metaphors. When one thing is applied to another with which it has become closely associated in experience, this kind of metaphor is called metonymy. I repeat the word metonymy. For example, the crown stands for a king. When a part of something is used to signify the whole, or though this is very rarely used, the whole is used to signify a part, this is called a synecdoche. I repeat the word synecdoche. For example, we use the term 10 hands for 10 workmen, and Milton refers to the corrupt clergy in Lycidas as blind mouths. Now we come to another literary term, that is lyric. What is a lyric? According to Greek writers, the lyric is a song meant to the accompaniment of a lyre. It means it was sung with the music of a lyre. This term is now used for any fairly short, non-narrative poem presenting a single speaker. The speaker in a lyric expresses a state of mind or a process of thought and feeling. The lyric speaker may be meditating in solitude. In a dramatic lyric, however, he is represented in a particular situation, addressing himself to another person, as in Donne's canonization, the lyric is uttered in the first person. That is, the speaker speaks in the first person, but the speaker is not always the poet himself. He can use the first person, but it is not necessary that the poet himself is speaking. In some lyrics, such as Milton's sonnet, when I consider how my light is spent. This is the sonnet by Milton. In this sonnet, the relation to the known circumstances of the author's life shows the poem as the personal utterance of the writer. Even in such poems, however, the character of the lyric speaker is adapted to the particular lyric situation and effect. The utterance or the expression is artistically ordered into a whole which does not depend on outside biographical information. In many lyrics, the speaker is an invented character who may be very different from the actual poet. This I also told you earlier, that though the first person is used in these poems, but it is not necessary that the poet himself is speaking about himself. A lyric poem may be simply a brief expression of a mood or state of feeling. For example, Shelley's Tonight. But the form also includes extended expression of a complex evolution of mind, such as in the long elegy and ode. The process of observation, thought, memory, and feeling in a lyric may be organized in a variety of ways. For example, in love lyrics, the speaker may simply express his state of mind in an ordered form, as in Burns' "Oh my love's like a red, red rose," or he may give a compliment with due respect and courtesy to his lady. For example, Ben Jonson's "Drink to me only with thine eyes," or he may give arguments to persuade his mistress to take advantage of opportunity and fleeting youth. For example, Marvel's to his coy mistress. In other kind of lyric, the speaker shows and justifies his particular disposition and values. For example, Milton's Allegro. Or he expresses a sustained process of observation and meditation in which he analyzes and tries to resolve an emotional problem. For example, Woworth's Intimations Ode, Arnold's Dover Beach, or he is exhibited as making and justifying the choice of a way of life. For example, Yeats's Sailing to Byzantium.